David Bowie, some heroes. Finally got Spotify, or rather we've changed our plan from just being for Sarah for road trips to being for the both of us. So, I can't tell if I need these or not. There we are. Before I start driving, you might have heard when I was just doing the neutral switch, if I've kept it in, or rather when I was trying to start the car up, clutch is a bit squeaky. So for my fellow misophonia people, if that triggers you, I appreciate you for joining me for these few seconds, and if you have to drop away or rely on things like Copilot, ChatGPT for the summaries. Today is the day of the British Grand Prix. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning, nearly 10 o'clock in the morning. So, just killing some time before that starts, really. And, well, let's just say, I'm going to put you on, I need some air flowing. Interesting so far this weekend how up until the sprint race itself, Hamilton was fastest across just about every single session. So Ferrari's cooking something, but he's didn't convert it in the sprint race, which is a shame. Would have been nice to. Learnt this morning Mercedes have found a way to get around the ramp down trick that they've been using. So we'll see what happens there. If they can if it gets found illegal again or what have you. I'm doing this because today because it's been a crappy week. My work have announced more redundancies again. Our senior leadership team feel like they're lying to us again, and just finding it very hard to trust people. Sarah's on nights. She's been on nights since Friday night and finished her last night shifted tonight, Sunday into Monday. So it's been a tiny bit, I don't know how to describe it. It's the nature of shift work, I know. I just don't like it. The other thing with my work as well, they've announced that we're going to the company that's taking us over. We're going to their in-office protocol of 3 days a week. But they won't be giving pay rises to cover additional travel costs. You've got 9 months to get things sorted, which is beyond disgusting, which implies you've got 9 months to somehow magic money out of your arse, which is tone deaf, because at the moment every time you manage to make some sort of saving, whether that's on your household bills or your food shop, well, I suppose your food shop is your household bills, but still, you manage to reduce expenditure one way and somewhere else takes it. Like this week, for instance, Sarah and I used the market in Bury St Edmunds. A couple of items that we would normally buy have gone up. So for a few weeks, the stall we've been using was doing berries 2 for £3. So that was blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, whatever combination. 2 punnets of those, £3. Bloody good value, really good, and very nice. Especially, I think some of them were from Suffolk as well. Then this week, it's now 2 for £5. It's gone up £2. The egg stall we normally use on the market. Typically we use him because he does bantam and pullet eggs for we're doing it £1 for half a dozen, £2 a dozen basically. And I do quite enjoy bantam and pullet eggs because the yolks are just something else. They make cakes. If you're just making a standard vanilla sponge, I think it's the same if you've got just generally hand-reared chickens you've fed proper food to. The colour of the yolks in them is just insane. You'd think that the cake has got food dye in it, they're that yellow, and they haven't. That's just the power of good quality ingredients. Which, based on the time I'm doing this, I wonder if I'm going to run into my parents. Might be at church. Wish he'd stop. My dad's medically retired and he's still... I feel like this local little parish has taken advantage of him at the moment. He's not part of their team, he's a retiree that does what he can to help out and give back because he couldn't leave his career on his terms. And now, if he was to turn around and say, I'm sorry, I'm done, I don't want to do this anymore, they're up such a creek without a paddle, it is ridiculous. Oh, clutch. Bloody clutch. It's tone deaf beyond all measure that go back to work 3 days in the office without offering pay rises, without covering transport. One of my colleagues lives in Norwich, so our nearest offices would be Milton Keynes or London. He's looking at a 3-hour one-way trip. So what are they saying? You've got to sell up and move to Milton Keynes? You know, yeah. And as I was saying before, which at the point I don't think I finished, the eggs on the market, they've gone up by 25 pence for a dozen. They've gone up 25%. So we spent 3-4 extra quid on the market this week than what we would have normally done because things have gone up. And there's this whole thing of, I'm sure I've talked about it before, there's this concept called toxic profit. It's similar to toxic productivity in the sense of productivity is just work to be done because it looks good to do the work. And toxic profit is making profit, is this expectation of profits and record profits every year, when that's really not the case. As in, healthy business profits fluctuate. What else do you expect? So that's going to be interesting to navigate. We're speaking with our trade union to say, even though our trade union's not recognised, I myself, I'm still on the original telephone banking contract that I joined the company on in 2018. So technically, when they're doing this whole what they call it, location strategy. Technically, when they look at, if they're just going to go off what's on contract, I'm contracted to an office in Sunderland, and they've closed that office and put what was that office above a branch in Sunderland. So not a criticism of Sunderland, by the way. It's not meant to sound like that at all. It's more a case of, so how is this going to work then? Because officially, I'm not working not working where I should be. Officially. But I can't go to London because it's 80 quid booked 6 weeks out. It's 100 if I have to do it short notice. If I have to do it on the day, it's 110, 120. And I get there are some bits that working in the office cannot replace. I really do get it. You can't just turn around to your colleague and go, how do we do X, Y, and Z? That sort of contact is irreplaceable. And I'm sure even the most die-hard work-from-home people will admit there are some elements of in-office working that can't be replaced. However, from my perspective, I haven't been up and seen my team in a long time. The rest of the team is based in Edinburgh. Including my manager, we are a 5-person team. The other 4 of them live in Scotland. I live this side of the border. I haven't been up in about 18 months. And my work is still good. I'm still on track. In the first year I wasn't the role. I went from a grade C to a grade D role, which before people, I know outside of the company I work for, people go, well, what does that mean? Effectively, I used to be, when I used to work in the branch side of the business, I was a grade B, which is about £25,000 a year-ish, salary about 22 22, I think actually is what I was on at the time, 21, 22. The grade C roll was 28 when I went on to it, and then the grade D roll, well, as of this year's pay rise, I'm on a couple of pounds over 40,000. So, you know, I've progressed in role without going to office. I've proven I can do it. I've proven it can be done. But they're arguing, well, we've put all this money into offices and things, you've got to go, you've got to fund the, what they're called, the enterprise parks. They built all these office spaces for knee-footing reason. There we are. I know this is not very car-related Swacecast so far. This is just something I want to get off my chest, because it's just so infuriating. I've been looking for other jobs within the organisation and outside the organisation to cover the pay rise I need for the extra travel. But if petrol goes up any more, like they reckon electric and things is going to go up, then I'm back at square one. We keep banging on about a cost of living crisis, but whilst it is a cost of living crisis, James O'Brien on LBC summed it up quite well. I can't remember if he was quoting someone. It's not it's not a cost of living crisis. It's actually a cost of profit crisis. I.e., everywhere wants to make as much money as possible, doing everything they can for the shareholder, and yet the consumer comes beyond last in that situation. So yeah, that's I haven't really got much else to say on that, to be honest. It is just, the math isn't mathing anymore, and I think people need to wake up and realise, yes, you might want people in the office, but guess what? We were due a revolution in the way we work. We had the industrial revolution of work, going from sort of agricultural to industrialised ways of working. We've had the evolution of the microchip, higher computerization. We've had things like flexi working and more part-time working, and now with the and now after COVID, the work from home revolution is what we should have: better quality of life. And what is it again? What has everyone got against the idea of having a better quality of life? Yes, just because you struggled left, right and centre, the previous generation struggled left, right and centre, doesn't mean that the following one needs to feel and experience the same. And if childcare and everything else was as cheap as it used to be, or as easy to obtain as it used to be, and by as cheap I mean as in so you could live on one salary, so someone didn't have to so you could live on one salary, you didn't have to have both people working to survive, then, you know, it would be a little bit more livable, tolerable, whatever word you want to throw at the situation. it's just, oh, frustrating. That clutch is getting on my nerves, but it's going in on Tuesday to get looked at. When I've looked on various forums, I went mad with some WD-40. I think I talked about it in the Clarkson problem video. I went mad with WD-40 on it the other day, and the squeaking did go quiet. So it is something that needs lubricating, and the clutch to me feels fine. And like I said, the travel is normal. To me, I can still hold it on the bike point and things without a problem. So there is no physical, as far as I'm concerned, there is no physical issue. But something is not right. When I looked on forums to see what the problem could be, because when I've looked online, I've discovered it could be, well, that's where I've discovered the clutch master cylinder is actually plastic, not metal. I got reading through the various comments of Volvos from this sort of age, when they were using Ford and Peugeot bits for certain things, and a lot of the general theme is on things like the C30s, the S40s, the V50s, V40s. The only bits that a lot of people have had problems with are the Ford bits, not the Volvo parts, which says quite a lot, really, doesn't it? I'm hoping on Tuesday that's the end of it. I think it needs some sort of some silicone-based grease or some copper grease or something like that. It needs something that I haven't got, applied with some expertise I don't have, in a way that potentially means the whole front and the whole underside of this bit of the car's got, as in the under bit down here, has got to be taken apart. In a way that I don't have the skill to do. Slash, it's just too tight for me to fit in there. Now, something I do want to briefly bring up. I'm hoping over the next few months you actually see a physical change. I've started Mounjaro for the time being. I don't know what keeps happening with my weight loss stuff. I do lose it, then I put it back on. I don't know whether I just keep hitting mental health blocks and then revert to my old standard of comfort eating, or whether sometimes it's just work stress and being stuck to a desk all day, and then it just robbing me of all my will to do stuff, even to the point of trying to get to the gym is just hard work. I don't know, but hopefully, I mean, I've lost 800 grams in a week according to the scales. I don't feel like I've done much differently. I have made a few more conscious decisions, which when I was on the stuff from doing the weight loss program from Cambridge, I was making more of those conscious decisions. So quite what I've done or haven't done, I like I said, I don't know. The clutch squeak in this, it started out of nowhere. It did sort of change with depending on where I was where my foot was applied. Don't you dare! Don't you fucking dare! I was an MG trying to come out of a driveway and it looked like it was just going to go for it. The squeak came out of nowhere. It wasn't there when I test drove it, and then it seemed like depending on which bit of the pedal I was applying my foot to, it would then be, well, hang on, actually that's what's causing it. You're pressing it in the wrong place, pressing it too hard, what have you. I don't know what the problem is. I'm hoping it's not. Some people have reported having to have entirely new pedal boxes, and in some cases it's been an entirely new clutch, which I'm hoping isn't what needs to happen for me. If that's what's got to happen, it's what's got to happen. I don't want it to be the case, but like I said, if it be, it be. So, car-related stuff I would like to talk about. The PCP mis-selling stuff, that looks like it's being delayed again. And what infuriates me hearing about these delays is everyone goes, well, if they get fined, that people aren't going to want to invest in the UK. At least that's what the way a lot of the articles I've read. That's the sort of point they imply. Like, but then no one will invest in the UK because they'll see we keep doing naughty things. But it's one of those things. For me, it's a case of You've been caught out. And the fact that they've done that the ruling they've already had has taken it down for people getting tens of thousands of pounds to a few hundred / couple of thousand. That was already a win. For me, it'd just be a case of fucking take it. Take that fucking win, run, laugh all the way to the bank that you're not being out of pocket quite to the same degree as you originally were going to be. Pay out, finish the fucking thing off. Stop the... You pay out, finish the inquiry, close it all off. JD, job done. That would be my view. Maybe a highly simplistic view of it, but I know for myself that couple of grand that I think I'm due between, if I've redone the adjusted maths correctly, that money I would be due back, that would clear one of my credit cards up. And then the longer they dither on this, the more interest they've got to pay. It's just like, a little bit of me feels like, what's the point in having the Prudential Regulation Authority or the Financial Conduct Authority that in theory turns around and says, no, you've done wrong, now you've got to pay up. That really gets me, because they're eternally sort of being usurped left, right and centre, and a lot of the lenders are utilising their right to appeal and take a legal challenge and things like that. It's like, okay, fine, if that process exists in our legal system for a reason. I'm not disputing your right to challenge. I am disputing your right to keep dragging this on, because I know from myself, like I said in I can't remember which video it was now, but I started this back in 2020. We are 6, or was it 2019? Around the time of COVID, what did I say, 2020? It's been 6 years, maybe as many as 7 that this has been going on for me. Never mind the person who realised the hidden commissions in the first place. Never mind how long it's been going on for them since they began their legal process. Just shut up, pay up, stop renegotiating where you've been caught out. It's for me, it's very much a case of just, you've been caught out, deal with it. Ridiculous. Something I want, talking money and cars, something I want to mention. My brother's been looking at cars recently. Things are not quite being his friend in terms of offers and prices and things. But it got me thinking. When I bought my first car, when I bought my Swift in 2015, that was the era. Granted, PCP has its problems, but getting people onto the car, getting people into cars, it's a brilliant... Couldn't find fourth there. It's a brilliant thing, or I think it is. When I bought my car, it was 149 down and 149 a month, and you had lots of offers that followed deposit and monthly payment. 123, 123. Just for the sake of argument, at one point you could get a Ford Fiesta. Granted, I think it was as basic as they came, so nothing on it. I think it was £99 down, 99 a month. My sister's Swift was 179. It baffles my mind we've lost all these really good offers, and it shows how much car prices have gone up. And I was looking at a Swift the other day because my dad seems quite taken with one, and I think if they weren't in a position where actually mum's thinking about completely giving up work shortly and potentially just go down to one car, I think they would be buying one. And my dad's very much like, oh, your brother should get a Swift. It worked for you, it worked for Rachel. And yeah, he's not wrong. It did work for me and it did work for Rachel. But yeah, it's just shows how much cars have gone up, because when I looked at a basic Swift, they're nearly £20,000, well on the way to 20. And what is frustrating as hell about it is this road isn't wide enough for me to overtake that JCB. Or is he turning off anyway? Yeah, he's turning off anyway. Nice if your brake lights work though, sir. Dear me. Don't get me wrong, I love a Swift, and back years ago, the king of the Super Mini always was the Ford Fiesta, closely followed by the Polo. I'm trying to think of the other one. The Renault Clio was also very up there as well. Pretty much, if you've had one of those three, you've done very well for yourself, you've chosen very well. The Swift could do the same thing for less money, but where the then Swift always fell down, which is where the turbocharged one sort of closed the gap, is the naturally aspirated ones back in the day. They were like little go-karts. They were fun, fizzy, brilliant things to learn about how to drive in, and I did learn a lot in my Swift. But it also couldn't switch off being a go-kart very well. As in, it always wanted to, I suppose you could describe it as it always wanted to play. It always looked for an excuse to be like, come on, can we not just rev it a tiny bit more? Because even though it was only a little 1.2 4-cylinder, it was actually quite a barky little, growly little motor. Sort of be like, where you'd be like, just this once, we'll do it again, just this once. And no more. No, we won't rev you this hard again. No. So that's sort of where the Swift was never could quite compete back in the day. Now the market is that small. It's a catch-22. The Swift is still a very, very good car. Very good. But because there isn't much left to compete with it, without going electric, you haven't got a Ford Fiesta anymore. Heck, even the Micra doesn't well, actually, is the Micra coming back? Yeah, the Micra is on the way back, and the Fiesta is coming back in a couple of years. But as we currently sit today, there isn't anything in that market, so the Swift can almost command its own price. Some of this road. When I did the review on this car, I didn't use this road because there were some potholes in it. Mind you, I'm nervous I'm going to find some more. So yeah, my brother's not going to have quite as easy a time getting into the car market. He wants to go electric. Is it the BYD Dolphin? It's caught his eye, the BYD little electric car, because my brother wants to go electric. And with what's happening petrol price wise, on the one hand I can't blame him, But electric cars, you've got to look at your future value, and because it's his first car and money's a bit tight, you've got to look at what it's going to cost you. If you need to break your terms and sell the car, hand it back, what have you, how much you're going to be out of pocket for. And the guy up at John Banks, when I took my brother up there because there was a couple of cars up there that caught my brother's eye as well. He said, look, then that some of them are halving in value in a year. So yes, if you want to pick up one, pick up a used one, but don't buy one thinking you're gonna still hold a good trade-in value. Because it was Paul who sold me this and the Civic. He was telling me that they've taken in a couple of electric Hondas, and one of them, they sold one for 40 grand when it was new. It's on the forecourt for under 25. It's lost nearly half its value in 18 months, which is astounding, and I can believe it. We'll see what happens on that front, but hopefully, if my brothers get a car, hopefully he'll let me review it. Not as in to pass a brotherly opinion on it, but as in just to give it a review for the channel. Whew. Excuse me. F1 related stuff, like I've touched on the Hamilton being fast and him having his first win in the last video. I actually find myself being very pleased to see Lewis doing well at the moment, and I don't know whether it's because I've thought everyone, when he went to Ferrari, everyone thought, oh, Leclerc's going to absolutely trounce him, or what have you. I'm not sure what it was, why it was. Put it where it is, so shall be. And yet Lewis is currently having the better time of it in that Ferrari. For whatever he's actually doing to do better, whether it's just this rule set suits Lewis better, I don't know. There's talk about the new rules and rule sets and what's gonna happen next. There's talk about going back to V8s and V10s, reducing the hybrid element within the powertrain. I can't actually see over the hill. This cyclist. So we'll see what happens there. There's also talk about what's going to happen to Ocon in the Haas. Ocon hasn't performed very well at all, but Ocon, blow hot and cold. On his day he's good, but he can be too much of a problem. Often holding on to the fact he was a Mercedes junior and what have you. But he did come up through Manor, which wasn't a great team at all back when it existed. Cadillac are performing well. Honda targeting the Dutch GP for their new engine, and it sounds like Aston Martin are going to bring basically an entirely B-spec car at some point. That might be. That's not a problem, in my opinion, at least, for them bringing a B-spec car, because there are times with some Adrian Newey cars that they don't work very well, and then a couple of tweaks later, they're absolute behemoths. So we'll see. The Hulk is done quite well in the Audi, as is Bortoletto. The Racing Bulls is proving quite an interesting car. It's performing very well. My Williams is not doing very well at all. Not very well at all. such a shame, because they were looking like they were going to become one of the teams to beat. They were leading the midfield in the last rule set, and now they're not. So again, that's what happens will happen. Still the car's still very overweight. I think once Williams do work out what they need to get from that car, it will be good. However, because they're using Mercedes power, I think they're not. I don't think it's a case of there's not the parity between power units anymore. But I suppose this is where the plus point of being a works manufacturer comes into play. Because Mercedes have built that power unit and know how to exploit it fully, it looks like they're not getting parity. It's just a case of, well, no, Mercedes can be set there going, well, we wrote the code, we know how it works. Whereas everyone else has got to work out how it works. Same with McLaren. When McLaren work it out and finally fine-tune things, that McLaren this year is actually quite a beast of a car. And Lando should be, I wouldn't say he would be completely in defence of his title, but Lando would be putting up a better defence than he currently is. And there's not a lot he can do about it. That just is. We'll park the F1 stuff there, because I could go on and off about it for quite a while. Something I want to come back to though, and I've talked about this in other Swacecasts. It's why you don't overtake in a corner, you Nimrod. Is driver attention and attention spans and driving standards, which that person trying to overtake the cyclist in a corner kind of illustrates my point for me and acts as my segue. So, and I want to talk about this in the context of something that happened fairly recently for Sarah and I. At the point of current recording, I think it's about 3-4 weeks ago now. And by the time this goes out, then I don't have a clue how long ago it will be by then. So in Great Wellington, there's a turning I turn in and out of to get to where we live, and then there's the turning to into Little Wellington right by the post office. That is all well and good, that's all fine, hunky-dory, hanky-dory, so on and so forth. Where are you going to go, good sir? You're going straight on, and I'm not going to be able to get by you for a little bit. But the other day, a motorcyclist had been hit by a car. The person in the car had hurt their neck because of how hard they come to a stop. Sarah, being a nurse, went out to see what was going on, to see what help she could offer, because technically, I don't think they're penalised as much for it anymore. But I know for a time when I was in the police, I wouldn't have been allowed to go away from that sort of situation. I'd have had to have stayed, which. It's something to do with the dereliction of duty of care. Well, this road's coming to bits. Whoa! Pothole. Big one. Now, traffic on that main road. People who live in Bury St Edmunds will probably know the road I mean. Can't think what it's called. Is it called? It's either Sudbury Road or Shimpling Road. I can't remember what it's called. But it's basically A134 out of Bury St Edmunds. And if you were going to go to Sudbury or Lavenham, etc., that's the main road through without taking A14 and then doubling back on yourself. And same if you're heading towards Hadley and other places like that. It's one of the main roads through. Oh, what is it all these cyclists this morning? Change my route to avoid one and I come down another road and there's another. Because I'm on a decreasing radius of turn, I cannot see round the corner, and let us not become the problem. But because on that road, traffic builds up very quickly when something goes wrong, and you can easily be tailing back all the way into Bury St Edmunds, and it doesn't take very long to tail back into town and back to the A14. And likewise, going the other way, you can easily be backing up nearly all the way to the Lavenham and Cockfield crossroad. So, yeah, so Sarah went out, she checked the ambulance on the way, she basically made sure to keep the guy's head still and asked me to direct traffic. Now, I'm not a police officer in full uniform, I have not been a police appeal house officer, bloody hell, I haven't been a police officer for a very long time, but, you know, do what I can, try and keep the traffic flowing, because you can quickly, I say very quickly, bring Bury St Edmunds to a standstill from something small like that. So I was trying to let a few cars through, big hand gestures and things like that. It wasn't the easiest place to do it, because wherever I stood, I was going to be blocked visibly by one person or another. And then when the police officer turned up, he was happy I was already doing what I was doing, because he basically said he'd have asked me to do what I was doing. So there we are. But it was intriguing how many times I could stand there and hold my hand up, like fully extended, up as vertically and as tall as my hand would go. Now I'm about 5'10", when I'm stood, about 4'6" when naked. So I could, you know, I'm not exactly an invisible person, and because of my, let's be brutally honest, because of my fatness, I'm not exactly invisible. Let's just call it. Let's just be blunt about it. Because of my fatness, I am not invisible. I'll check something. I need to wander around to the. Oh no, they said it's around the back. Never mind. So I was beginning to wonder, where have I got to drop this off? Because the front of that, I thought the dealership, Volvo dealership's got a different bit to it now. Now the servicing's all done around the back, including drop off and pick up. But I was doing big hand signals, you know, trying to indicate people to stop. And the number of people who would just drive through, hands, when I was clearly telling them to stop, and, you know, pretty universal stop sign, people would be driving through. And then when someone gave me such interesting hand gestures, shall we say, when they drove through, when I'd stopped, cars behind them had stopped, they ploughed through, and I sort of made a look. So many people were driving effectively with blinkers on, and I don't mean the American blinker as in indicator. I mean blinkers as in, no, if I don't see it, it isn't happening, sort of thing. There could have been someone offering them £10 million behind them. They'd have been driving dead on, or someone, so it's on the side of the road saying, I will give you £20 million if you stop now. And they were so tunnel visioned that that just wasn't gonna, they weren't gonna stop. And it's really bugged me since then, just how poor. It's not just a perceived thing, it's not like me being, it's not like someone turning around and saying, oh Chris, it's just your perception. Like, no, it actually happened. It was actually that ignored. It was that difficult to get people's attention. And a lot of people sort of gestured and thanked me for getting traffic moving, and acknowledged that I was doing the right thing by trying to keep things flowing. I was sort of letting through about 4 or 5 vehicles one way, 4 or 5 vehicles the other. I kept losing count, and also trying to listen for when the ambulance and things were turning up, so I could let them through as best as possible. It wasn't like it was a harsh awakening, because like I said, I've discussed many times on this channel the decline in driving standards, the decline in attention spans. So I'm trying not to cough. It baffles my mind. Don't get me wrong, everyone makes. Don't get me wrong, everyone makes mistakes. But when you could clearly see police flashing lights, when you could clearly see a car had been struck and a motorbike was on its side, you don't just keep ploughing through like you've got the right of way. And yet people did. Like, if I saw lorries that were nearly coming to a stop, I tried to let them through before switching back to a stop sign, so to speak, to basically so they didn't have to come to a complete stop and then face having to start up again, because where that is in Wellneath, it is technically at the bottom of a little hill, so it isn't the easiest of places to. I would imagine if you're driving something as big as an articulated lorry, it's actually not the easiest places to get going again. Not difficult as such, but you've come to the bottom of one hill and you've got the momentum. Surely you want to continue it. Surely you want to continue it up the other. And I've seen it as well in car parks. People, again, as I've more than likely alluded to, if I haven't just alluded to it, I haven't actually called out, people treating car parks as two-way systems when they're one-way systems, people pushing out of the way so they can park, not letting you finish your manoeuvres. There's a lot of talk in the UK at the moment, on and off, about, well, why can't we increase things like the national speed limit? Because cars can stop faster, and they're built stronger and things. And on paper, yes, your theory is right. I'm sure if I tried to pull this car up from 60 miles an hour to 0, it would be a lot faster than things that were around when the legislation was originally thought of, when you were driving things like Ford Anglias with drum brakes. Disc brakes were not a thing. Even motorsport, they'd only just started becoming a thing. Not even really then. But people's skill hasn't improved. People's reaction times, if anything, are worse. And I would argue that it's even worse now because of things like TikTok and YouTube Shorts and what have you. That people's general attention span is quite poor. And before you go, well, what do you mean general attention span? Long form content on YouTube doesn't do very well. It just doesn't, unless you've built up a following and that's what you've always been. So it's, in some ways, it's where Velocity Kinetics is struggling to be picked up or get more views. Is because it's all long form, 30, 40, 50 minute episodes. It's not gonna grow as much as I would like it to grow, and I just mean as in become something that tops up my wage, not to become a career. Well, if it became that much, it became that much. So this car park's really busy at the moment. Jesus Christ. I know I might sound like a slight traditionalist here, but I'm just going to briefly wander off topic. Surprise, surprise, it's Swacecast and Chris is wandering off topic again. In UK at the moment, it's so hot because we're in the middle of all these heat waves, and it's El Nino, I think it's called. The El Nino heat wave. Someone not happy that I'm reversing in, but if you can wait 30 seconds, my good sir and or madam, respectfully, you can go fuck yourself if you won't. Wait. The UK at the moment, because of the heat and humidity, I don't like it when people complain about it on social media very much, but it is hotter than Satan's armpit at the moment in the UK. Really, love, you've had of all the. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a freaking Land Rover Discovery just pulled in next to me. It's like, of all the spaces she's had to pick from, and she's gone right next to me. And has gone and taken over 2 spaces. Jesus. But it's more a case of like, when I don't get the summers in the UK now are far hotter than they ever used to be. I remember as a child where 25-degree summer was a record summer that was extremely hot. Now I think we would kill just to have 25 degrees. And what makes it worse here in the UK is because the way we build our houses to trap heat, not let it out, we then live in quite hot. We're hotboxing ourselves all the time with the weather we have. But what I also find hard is in this weather is how many people just let their sense of appearance go. I appreciate it's hot, but lads, a decent pair of shorts doesn't break the bank and breathes better than some of the shitty short things that you're wearing. And likewise, the vest tops, and ladies, I'm sure there are quite a few choices for cool clothes, but think about whether it's see-through or not. You know? Anyway, back on topic. Because of how things are in the UK at the moment, but driving-wise, we can't even begin to consider things like a proposed increase to national speed limit, because driving standards are so poor. I've seen lots of dashcam videos recently where people are doing what I can only describe as Tetris driving. They're just ignoring whatever lane they're supposed to be in. There's a gap, as long as they're moving forwards, there's a gap, I'm taking it, there's a gap, I'm taking it, there's a gap, I'm taking it. It's almost like they're trying to constantly reenact the Senna. And if you no longer go for a gap, you're no longer a racing driver. Quote. It baffles my mind that people do that. It really does. So we can't begin to consider changing things like taking the national speed limit from 70 to 80, for example, on the motorway, because people will then go, well, I've got me 10% plus 1, and they'll drive along at 90. Accidents will be that much bigger, and it's just a recipe for disaster. And like I said, the attention span thing for people, whipping out phones the moment they come to a stop, and trying to message on things like this, and even cars just being so much more, having so much fewer tactile buttons. I mean, even the take a picture of what I've got here. Even though I've got a lot of tactile buttons here, that is still not ideal, and that can still, if I was to use all the buttons as that picture shows, my aircon's not actually the most intuitively placed. I've got all these buttons in the middle for all these different options. I've got things from a CD player and what have you. And when you've got cars that are like that, like for example the J-Coupe, that's just all behind touchscreen, you can't consider doing things like that because people's attention span is just, even if it's just a simple case of they're just trying to adjust their car settings, it is that much harder to do than just pressing a button and turning a dial, that we can't do anything like that because attention spans are destroyed, and people's, let's say, standard of driving is worse. People have got a far more me way of going about things. So there we are. Apologise, it's been quite a ranty, whingy, moany Swacecast today. There's been a lot go on, and I've just needed to vent, which is what these Swacecasts are for me. And if people have watched and feel better for it, or just like listening to me talk, fantastic. And if I've just vented into the void, that's also good, because I feel a lot better. And now, in the words of Valtteri Bottas meme, traditions, it is time for me to get some lunch. And then this afternoon, I don't know what I'm going to do. I've got a project I want to try and have finished by Sarah's birthday. Whether I will be able to get it done is another question altogether, because it requires a lot of editing. It's not a Velocity Kinetics project, it's a personal thing. Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, drive safe, look after yourselves. I will see you at some point in the future. When that'll be, I don't know, but hopefully I won't have to start. If that continues, Bayon's going to have to be renamed Squeakerton if this continues. But anyway, drive safe, look after yourselves. I'll see you next time.